Here is Tom Amon and Julia Vadekind of the sailing blog, Sailing Illustrated, discussing the coming meeting next Tuesday night between the board and the members of the Royal New Zealand Yacht Club, and Grant Dalton, the CEO of Emirates Team New Zealand, on who is the rightful holder of the America's Cup deed of gift. This is critical to who decides on when and where the 37th edition is held. Here's Tom to explain all.
The America's Cup, AC37 Cup Day. We told you we were going to have Hamish Ross on today, and we'll tell you in a minute why he is not on. But the drama, the saga continues at the RNZ, the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron. The members' revolt that we detailed and broke the news on our Tuesday show, and there was, I broke it on my Facebook page, and then you saw that video that TVNZ ran that I then ran a couple hours later on our show after we broke the news the day before. This is going on in a bigger way now than even we were telling you about on Tuesday. And how so? Well, on a couple days ago after our show, sometimes we wonder if people wait till after our show.
I know. And they may well.
This little notice was sent out to the squadron members, AC37 members. Apostrophe S, Julia, or should that be S apostrophe? Okay. Well, who are we going to quibble?
S apostrophe.
I think it should be S apostrophe. But in the squadron ballroom next Tuesday at 7 p. at 1900, please join us for Grant Dalton to provide an update to members alongside Commodore Aaron Young next Tuesday evening in the Squadron Ballroom. Now
Let's go.
It's members only, which, of course, everyone will respect and should. That's their Tuesday evening, which is our Monday night. So we'll have the outcome, or we'll know what happened at that meeting on our Tuesday morning and have it, run it on next Tuesday's show. But in the meantime, every indication, including this, which is coming now right at the end of the 90-day first right of negotiation that the government, both Wellington and Auckland have, the central government and the city of Auckland have, with ETNZ/Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron, that is running out next week. So it's interesting that this briefing is happening. And then we've been telling you with the resignation of Sir Stephen Tyndall, who owns the largest retailing operation, the warehouse and the other subsidiaries, when he resigned as chair of the ETNZ, whatever the board is called, and then we didn't break that news, but we told you about that a couple of weeks ago. Proof positive, several of our friends down in New Zealand are telling us, proof positive that the Cup is going offshore. And of course, no surprise, because we've been telling you that since we heard that about the Challenger of Record. And of course, we've been telling you, forget about us. It's just, the thing's headed to the Solent, either next summer or the summer after. Whether it's a one-on-one event or not is another question, and a good question. Now, why isn't Hamish on the show? Well, Hamish called me up. In fact, Julie, I was up there fixing you a drink the other night, wasn't I, when he called?
Yep.
Said, hey, I can't come on. As we've known, he was involved in this. We didn't know to what extent. He's been very coy about telling me what I'm hearing from lots of different people, and some of the details from Hamish, but not much. He's saying, dear Tom, good men are doing something. And that's a quote from a famous philosopher, economist, diplomat. We'll come to that in a moment. Good men are doing something. They seek to uphold the terms of the deed of gift and the common law in which it is embedded to preserve the best traditions of the Cup. Unfortunately, in view of the objectives, it is not the right time to come on your show to discuss matters, but I will be in touch to explain more fully when it is. Kind regards. So that's why Hamish is not on. And again, the quote, good men are doing something. And that is I think, just a pithy way of saying that what we speculated on Tuesday is true. We know that Hamish somehow is involved. I can tell you now today that Jim Farmer, if not the leading, he is one of the top solicitors, one of the top legal brains, certainly in New Zealand, if not in the world. The guy is a very keen yachtsman, very terrific, bright guy, and a longtime friend. He was also on the board. He was a director of Team New Zealand for a number of years, stepped down before the last Cup or maybe the Cup before that. And he is not amused with what's going on. Jim Farmer, I think with some help from Hamish and maybe others, and I know there's some big finances, are going after the Squadron and the Squadron leadership and trying to get them to come to their senses and insist that the next Cup be held in New Zealand, which Gary Jobson, as we told you on Tuesday, had predicted, and Terry Hutchinson also. Yeah. I haven't talked to Terry personally, but he's telling friends of mine that it's never going to move out of New Zealand. But it's headed out of New Zealand unless the Squadron somehow tells Team New Zealand that we're the trustee, not you. This quote again, good men are doing something, Julia?
Yes.
Who's this? Edmund Burke.
Ah, yes.
The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. And Hamish Ross is saying that good men are doing something. Yeah. Hence, I think that's I know that's where you got, Hamish, the historian. Now, who's Edmund Burke? The Right Honorable Edmund Burke. He's from Ireland, born in Dublin, immigrated to Great Britain in the 1700s, and then became a member of Parliament. He's a famous philosopher, economist, and leader.
I think we all should remember that.
It is, especially what's going on in some of us think in this country. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. I'm sure he meant good men and women to do nothing. Now, I didn't mean any juxtaposition of that previous slide and this one. Not that these aren't good men. Sir James Ratcliffe and Grant Dalton are no doubt plotting to host the Cup in the Solent. Dalton's got to figure out how to fund the team. Apparently, he's got some help to do that. I am reliably informed that very few people are left on the payroll of Emirates Team New Zealand. That Dalt, Shuby, Kevin Shoebridge, Russell Green, Dan Bernasconi, and a few others are on the payroll, some of the shore team. And that's it. And the rest of them have jobs elsewhere until they see what's going on, until there's some more money. Because the government money, remember, they offered the $5 million.
Yep.
And Sir Stephen Tyndall himself said, well, we're not sure we should be taking government money on top of government money before he resigned. Now, here's a photo that I thought you would enjoy. This is from during the Cup. This is not a recent photo.
Yeah,
we played this before, right, Julia?
Yeah.
That is GD with the PM. And if there was ever a caption contest, again, this was during the Cup, not in the last few days, let alone a few weeks. But I wonder what the conversation is between Mr. Dalton and the PM and who
doesn't look exactly pleased,
and the Auckland officials. Yeah. Well, it could be about COVID. It could be anything, but it's a fun photo, isn't it?
It is.
Bottom line, the Squadron has to have, they got to understand that the deed of gift, and this was sent by our FOSI Paul Homchick, who said, read the deed. It is distinctly understood that the Cup is to be the property of the club, subject to the provisions of this deed, and not the property of the owner or owners of any vessel winning a match. And that's the original deed, and they were saying we're giving this when the owners of the original Yacht America with the Cup donated it in a deed that they started drafting in 1852 and didn't finally get done until 1857. We're donating this to the club. Mm-hmm. And that in future, it's the club that holds the Cup, not the owners of the yacht that wins it, and so on. So here's what ETNZ, or what the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron is facing. They have a contract with ETNZ, which has delegated their fiduciary duty, delegated their trust to the team, which under common law, whether it's in the UK, the US, or New Zealand, and New Zealand, by the way, has a new set of laws out that also govern this, that strengthen this concept. If you're the trustee for somebody, if you're the executor of their will or estate, you can't delegate that authority to somebody else. If you, Julia, tell me, here's some money in a trust, and I want you to be the executor, and this is to develop the modern day, tell me what, buggy whip.
Yeah.
And I say you die, and then I say, well, there's no point in developing modern buggy whips, even though that's what the trust said, even that's what she said. I can't then go off and use that money for something else. I still got to follow the trust. I got to follow the deed, even if I disagree with it, or even if it's become impracticable. And the only way to change it is to go to court. and say to the court, excuse me, this is not practicable. But I can't delegate that to my daughter, and say, well, Meg, you run this now because I'm not.
Have a good time with it.
Have a good time with this. No, you can't do it. So this is the problem that in a nutshell, that the squadron faces, because they have a contract. And I've got a copy of it, by the way. I told you that on Tuesday's show. I'm not going to put it up here now. I'm not going to read from it or anything, but I have now read it. They have a contract with their team, and they have delegated to the team their trustee authority. And even Golden Gate Yacht Club, even Norbert Byron, and when I was his vice commodore, the club's vice commodore, even we didn't delegate. We went along with what Larry and Russell wanted to do, but we didn't give them the authority to do it.
Yes.
And anybody who does give the team the authority to make the trustee decisions, when it's distinctly understood that the cup is to be the property of the club, subject to the provisions of the deed, they're going to have some trouble. And if this goes to court, God forbid, hopefully cooler money,
Yeah, I hate to see that money wasted.
Well, it's not even the money. It's just the time and the effort and the turmoil.
Yeah.
And this is now going to be very interesting, because the members who are saying, this is our cup, we're the trustee, we can't delegate our trusteeship to the team, irrespective of the contract. The contract's null and void because you didn't have the right to do it, I think is what they will say. I don't know that. I've never had that told to me. But this is going to be interesting to see how this plays out, because the members are going in and saying, you cannot do this without the membership agreeing now. We don't trust you, committee, which is their board of directors.
And so then all the decisions revert to the
club. And if these club members who are revolting have their way, it'll be to a vote of the membership, not to the board, because they're basically saying, in a vote of confidence, we don't have confidence in you because you've delegated this to the team. We'll see how this plays out, starting with next Tuesday night. That will be the next touchstone. It'll be interesting to see what Mr. Dalton, what Grant says to the members, alongside Commodore Aaron Young, and we will have that for you. Whatever that transpired there, we will have been reliably informed, no doubt, by any number of squadron members by our time next Tuesday, by the time of our show, which will be Wednesday early in New Zealand. It's
going to be very interesting, because there are lots of issues involved with that.
Exactly, and by the way, I have heard from senior and been contacted since our Tuesday show by seniors, as you know, Julia, by senior serious members of New York Yacht Club, of the Prada campaign, and even of INEOS. Hey, is that true? What are you hearing? Is that really, what else can you tell us? Mm-hmm. And I've told you basically everything I know. Hamish won't, I keep trying to, well, you heard me the other night, Julia, trying to drag stuff out of him. And
he says, I'm on vacation.
Yeah, and he's involved, and he, like a good lawyer, is keeping his bloody mouth shut.
Yeah.
But there are other members of the squadron who are talking, and because they're not amused, and we'll see how this plays out. I'm sure there are lots of questions and comments, but one other side note before we get to questions and comments. Duncan Johnstone, our good friend who writes for stuff.co.nz, or I wouldn't say I'm a good friend, but he's an acquaintance, so I've gotten to know, said this a couple days ago. New Zealand yachting great Russell Coutts says his America's Cup career is over. A three-time winner as a helmsman and with two victories as CEO, Coutts remains one of the most dominant figures in the sport's pinnacle event, including owning the perfect record of 15 wins and no losses in 3 campaigns on the wheel, 2 with TNZ and 1 with Swiss syndicate Alinghi. And the 59-year-old admits he likes the current America's Cup that encompasses his vision of fast boats in a quick-fire races made for TV, but he wants to concentrate on developing his SailGP World League sailed in 50-foot foiling catamarans. Now, the genesis of that was me saying, and then Magnus Wheatley repeating it and emphasizing, if Sir Ben Ainslie and Sir INEOS, as I call him, if they want to win the Cup, they need to go hire Russell. You say, Russell, I know you're busy with Larry and you got that league. Get one of your deputies to run it. You look over their shoulder. Lots of people run multiple businesses. You come up here, please, and help us. Tell us how much it costs. And I don't know what Russell's being paid now, but if he were being paid $10 million a year and INEOS were willing to pay him $20 million a year, would he go? He says not. But as I always like to say, talk is cheap.
Yeah.
But Russell's a winner. He's a leader of men and women, and if they were to hire him, they would significantly increase their chances of winning the Cup. I think Grant Simmer is on his way out, if not already gone. He's no longer listed as a director on the website of the company. I don't think he's any longer the CEO. We haven't seen his name anywhere connected with their challenge of record function. And I don't know what's up with Ben. We'll see as well. Okay, shall we stop there, Julia? Because that's covered a lot of water. That's a lot of dam over the water.
And left open about 15 questions for the next week.
Well, not intentionally, but ETNZ, we just don't know. We just don't know the answers, right? Mm-hmm. ETNZ may not have the dollars to go to court with the club. RC, Brad B., and the others in the tight five who left TNZ after the 2000 defense over arguments among business interests in Auckland. Yeah, that's a Stingray. Yeah, Coots wants to be the Bernie for sailing, creating the yearly circuit and the money flow like the F1. Yeah, I think he does, but I tell you who's got a much better chance of doing that is the Star Sailors League. That involves a lot of countries with nationalistic teams, national teams. Truly national teams. You got Bulgarians running the Bulgarian team and sailing on the Bulgarian team, and boats that are affordable. The RC-44, which is, one design. For Russell designed the boat, now it's just called the 44. Cool stuff.
Yes.
David James, watching this drama makes me even more proud of St. Francis for refusing Larry's proposed terms. That was way back when. Gordon Smith, which begs the question as to how World Sailing managed to use the Sailing Trust Fund to guarantee loans to WS. If I'm incorrect, I stand to be corrected as presented. Yeah, it was true. And we'll see. Lawyers' children need orthodontia too, Clark Chapin is saying. Ed Worley, if Royal New Zealand does not uphold the responsibilities of being the current holder, would the caretaking of the cup go back to Golden Gate? No. Actually, the deed is silent on that exact point. It's what happens if they're found to be untrustworthy. That's a bad pun.
Yeah.
The club can, if it decides that it does, under the deed says that if the club does not want to conduct an event or no longer wants to be the trustee, they nominate another club in their country. In their country to take over the responsibilities and duties of being and it's got to be a club that fulfills the annual regatta on the sea or on an arm of the sea kind of language. But that's what a club would do. If for some reason RNZ said, a pox on all your houses, we don't want any more of this, which they'll never do, and we're going to give it now to the Royal Akarana Yacht Club or some other club in New Zealand to run it. That isn't going to happen. Any other pressing questions or comments, Julia?
Kite shot pudding.
Oh, John Emmett. Oh, dear, this sounds like a right mess. Yeah, can the RNZ unsponsor the boat? The body language says, yeah, okay, she's holding her purse very tight. Back on that caption contest. I guess the problem for RNZ is that stands a chance of having to organize the whole cup and stand to foot the bill. Well, in fairness, Dalton has done a magnificent job of coming up with the money to get this team, and not only that, to go win the cup.
Yes.
But I will predict again. I said this on Tuesday, and a lot of you have pushed back and said, well, you're just talking through your hat or you're something else. But you look at the history, and the history of late has been win it, defend it, lose it. Ever since New York lost it, and there have been the two exceptions, and that was the first one where the Cup won, where Royal Perth won it and then lost it right away. They didn't even defend it in '87. And then San Diego won it, defended it twice. Now, one of those was a deed of gift match, so you may have to put an asterisk on that. Mm-hmm. Then lost it. Golden Gate won it, defended it, lost it. I think the Kiwis are going to, the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron, having won it and now defended it again for the second time. By the way, full marks to them. They're the only club in the history of the world, the Cup, that's won it, lost it, and won it back. No other club's done that. I mean, it takes, believe you me, as a lot of you know, and I'm sure, it is hard. This is a hard game. It's the hardest game in the world, but it's the best game in the world because it's played out both on land and sea. And who knows as the Cup turns, what the next turn is, but we'll know a lot more we'll know something more on Tuesday, one suspects.
We thank Tom and Julia for their video, and keep watching Sailing Illustrated, Wednesday 1300, U.S. Pacific Time on Facebook, and next Friday's Sailing World on Water, on YouTube, or our website, boatson.tv.